Hello everyone, FPL Wrapped here and welcome back to another video on my YouTube channel. In today's video we have my transfer plans and early thoughts ahead of Game Week 4. As I said last week, as long as you guys keep liking these videos and watching these videos, I'll keep trying to put out something on a Sunday evening every week, or at the very least a Monday morning, which is, like I said, a bit of an early thoughts video. What am I currently planning with my transfers? And then we'll update that throughout the week with the rest of the regular content. If you are enjoying the video, please do drop a like, please do subscribe. We are very close to 25,000 subscribers, so I would really appreciate if you're new to the channel, subscribing. But without further ado, let's jump into today's video. So guys, to get this out for you at about 6:30 p.m.-ish, I've had to obviously start recording this during the Man City versus Newcastle game. So at the moment, it's 2-1 to Newcastle. Cancelo's on -1. Haaland's on 1 point. But basically, we're having a bit of a stinker, pretty much everyone. Do let me know down below how many points you're currently on whenever you are watching this. Let me know how you're getting on. Maybe you've got someone that's got you just quite a few points. The likes of Aronson, Harrison, Rodrigo, all done pretty well this week. So there are some players that have done well. But I think for the majority of us, especially for those people that have maybe gone like 5 at the back and maybe for like the Leicester goalkeepers, not looking great this week. So I'm currently on 24 points. Like I said, I am recording this midway through the game week, so that will fluctuate. It's looking at a pretty big red arrow. But like I've said for a while now, rank just really does not matter. So you can see just one poor week, and it's not even that poor. Like most people have got a similar amount of points to me. A relatively poor week, I've gone from 69k down to about 300, 350, I think, at the time of me recording this. So it's not great, but I'm not too stressed, to be honest. I am still very, very happy with the way the team's set up. I'm still happy with the structure, and I'm still happy holding most of my players for the foreseeable future. The only really frustrating thing for me, if you watched my content last week, you guys will know that I did Leon Bailey to Pascal Gross. Now, the reason for that is, obviously, Gross was playing in an attacking position, expected minutes fairly high. He's on some set pieces, or a lot of set pieces, actually, and we were hoping he was still on penalties. Of course, I wasn't necessarily expecting a penalty straight away, but Game Week 3 comes around. I've brought in Gross. Brighton get the penalty, and unfortunately McAllister does step up. McAllister did take a couple of penalties last season, but by all accounts, I spoke to like 3 or 4 different Brighton fans, read through different forums, journalist opinions. Everyone thought Pascal Gross would be on penalties this season. So a little bit unfortunate there, but he did actually pick up an assist and a clean sheet point. So he is my joint highest scorer along with Martinelli and Ramsdale. So that's the way that Game Week 3 has gone. Like I said, just a mini review. Once the entire game weeks happen later on in the week, we'll talk about it in a bit more detail. But it's one of those weeks where just no one's had a great one. The final thing just to say is I had the choice between Nico Williams and Andreas for my, obviously, to play in my starting 11 and to put the other one first sub. So unless the Manchester United-Liverpool game is off due to protest, which in my personal opinion, it probably won't be, Andreas is going to be stuck there first sub, and I'm not going to get his 8 points. Let me know down below if you made the correct decision to start Andreas, because an 8-pointer in a week like this can be absolutely huge. Let's take a look at my team ahead of Game Week 4 now. So if you are new to the channel, later in the week, I'm going to do an entire team selection video where I'll go through each of the players in more detail and discuss how I feel about them moving forward, if I'm going to keep them, and discuss transfer plans in even more detail. But like I said, this is a bit of a shorter format, early thoughts video, and I just thought I'd present the team to you just to show you how it currently looks ahead of Game Week 4. I'll be honest, we've known this for a while. We spoke about this at the start of the season. If you set up a team for Game Week 1 with the sort of players that we were picking from the likes of Liverpool, Arsenal, City, etc., your team's going to be in a very good position for Game Week 4. So I think most people will be looking at their team this week and thinking, I'm probably happy with at least 9 or 10 of my starting 11, potentially all 11 players. And that is a position that I'm currently in. So doing Bailey to Pascal Gross was, of course, predominantly with Game Week 4 and beyond in mind. So I've got Pascal Gross against Leeds at home this week. And now I've got Trippier coming back into the starting 11. Because remember, I decided not to sell Trippier for Perisic, which turned out to probably be the wrong move in hindsight. But I still back the reasoning and justification behind why I made that decision. So I get Trippier to come back in against Wolves now. So looking at this entire starting 11, I don't really have anything desperate that I need to do with it. And even looking at the bench to some extent, there's not a massive amount that I need to do with that either. The thing is, though, I've got 0.4 million in the bank and I have 2 free transfers. Now, I don't normally advise burning a transfer. And by burning a transfer, if you're new to FPL, what that means is you can only obviously have 2 free transfers at any stage of the season, apart from obviously when you have your unlimited transfers in a wild card or a free hit, etc. But let's just say you can only have 2 free transfers at any point. So if I were to not use any of my transfers this week, I would still only have 2 free transfers next week for Game Week 5. So what that essentially means is I'm burning or wasting the use of a free transfer. So I would never normally advise that. I always say to someone, there's probably something you can do, right? There's something you can do with your team that will probably benefit it. I'm not necessarily sure there's a massive amount I can do here. The 2 spots, as I've said for a while, 9 of my players will stay the same. Unfortunately, it's a little bit boring, but probably stay the same largely up until my Game Week 8, Game Week 9 wildcard. The only 2 spots that I can really switch around at the moment for me is probably Kieran Trippier and Pascal Gross. But they've both got a really nice fixture this week. Trippier, I think when he's got the decent fixture, Newcastle defence looks pretty decent. I mean, they're doing fairly well against Man City at this stage at half-time. They're looking fairly good again. Game week 1 and 2, very impressive, keeping clean sheets in both. And Trippier is on set pieces. He's got a lot of attacking threat. So I don't really want to sell him against Wolves particularly. And Pascal Gross, the only frustrating thing about him is, of course, the fact that he's not on penalties is a big loss. That was one of the main reasons for bringing him in. It wasn't the only reason. He's still on set pieces. He's still playing an attacking role, and his expected minutes are still pretty high. And the fixtures are great. But that was like the added string to that bow of potentially being on penalties was massive for him. So I suppose in my starting 11, if I were to make a transfer, the most likely one would be Pascal Gross out. I'm going to discuss in the next section who's on my watch list if I were to do that. And then the only other thing I could potentially do is take Archer out for, I think, Stansfield, the Fulham forward who started in game week 3, got a return as well. So he looks pretty decent as well. We'll discuss that in the next section. So I guess I could just use one transfer to not upgrade Archer, but to change Archer out for a striker that might play a little bit more. But to be honest, most weeks that £4.5 million forward is going to be third sub anyway. So that's the way the team's set up. I guess it's a good position to be in with 2 free transfers, a bit of money in the bank, and being very happy with my starting 11 with a decent start to the season as well. It's a good position to be in, but let's take a look at my watch list. Let's take a look at the players that I'm currently considering and then talk about if any of them could make their way into my team for game week 4. Right, guys, so here is my watch list updated for game week 4. It's very similar to game week 3. A lot of these players have stayed on my watch list, but some of them have maybe moved up the pecking order slightly, and I've also got a few new additions. This isn't in any particular order, by the way, just so that you know. I've just put the players on this list, but I will discuss through maybe a couple that are piquing my interest a little bit more in game week 4. So Cucurella and Chelsea obviously looked very, very poor. Well, I should reword that. Cucurella didn't look poor, but the Chelsea defence in general did. Cucurella actually got into some very promising positions, but generally the Chelsea defence didn't look fantastic. I don't think they looked amazing in game week 1, and then in game week 2 I think Spurs were potentially lucky to get 2 goals, but generally maybe not as confident as I was doubling up on the Chelsea defence. Maybe I shouldn't react too much to game week 3, but that's maybe put me off Cucurella slightly, especially due to the fact as well that Chilwell will be back at some point. He did start in game week 1. Yes, he's not at full fitness, but he's not that he's just come back from an injury. So I expect him to come back into the fray soon. So maybe I just leave Cucurella now and I'm not as interested in that move. And then Kyle Walker, I've said for a while, yes, it's great to have Kyle Walker, but he is a 6-point merchant. I don't want to really waste the transfer to bring in someone that's going to get me, most weeks anyway, a maximum of 6 points. He will get the odd return, potentially, or the odd bonus point, but most weeks it's 6 points, especially when I can have someone else like Trippier, who, when I can play him, has the potential for bonus points, attacking returns, clean sheets, etc. Realistically, if I'm to bring in a defender this week, it probably is Perisic. My only concern with Perisic is that most people are still thinking that he's going to be rotated occasionally. James from Planet FPL, who's a massive Tottenham fan, still thinks that Perisic and Sessegnon will be rotated, almost sort of like one will play 1 week, maybe Sessegnon plays Forest, Perisic against West Ham, and then Sessegnon against Fulham. If that's the case, Perisic is getting the trickier fixtures, and he's probably going to get 1-pointers in the weeks where he doesn't play. And even when he does, I guess he has the opportunity to be subbed off before 60. So I do think when Perisic plays, when he starts, and when he gets 60 minutes, he's probably going to be the best defender in the game for value. It's just, is that going to come enough? Because if he gets a 15-pointer every 4 weeks or every 3 weeks, but gets 1-pointers around that, you're probably just as better going for someone like Kyle Walker or Cucurella, who's going to get you a few clean sheets, or Kieran Trippier. So I do wonder, is he going to be consistent enough, and is that worth using a transfer on? The other thing to note is that he's going to go up in price before I make that decision. So it would require 2 transfers, because I've got exactly the money in the bank at the moment, but it looks like he'll get a price rise. So if I do that, it will take 2 transfers to get from Trippier to Perisic, which might seem like a bit of a waste again. I could downgrade to Dunk, me, or Henry again. Brighton and Brentford have really nice fixtures up until when I plan on wildcarding. But like I said, realistically, I think I'm happy holding Trippier against Wolves. But let me know down below if you think I should be a little bit more aggressive and maybe just try and go Trippier to Perisic. With the midfielders, again, I think Foden and Gundogan are fantastic options. Gundogan in particular scored again in game week 3, like I said, about 40 minutes ago in the game week 3 fixture. So Gundogan could be great, but I don't really have an easy route to him. It's that Pascal Gross position. If I do want to take out Pascal Gross, it's got to be someone up to the price of 6 million. So realistically, I'm probably looking at Aaronson. If Harrison doesn't get a price rise, I could go to Harrison. But once again, I'm looking at game week 4 and I'm thinking Leeds play Brighton, Brighton play Leeds. The Leeds defence is arguably weaker in my opinion. Well, I think it is weaker than the Brighton defence. So why would I take out Gross against a slightly weaker Leeds defence to bring in a Leeds attacker against a fairly strong Brighton defence? I guess the only thing to note is that Leeds just look so good going forward. Rodrigo, Aaronson and Harrison look like 3 of the best assets in the game at the moment. And like I said in the Game Week preview video last week, from Game Week 5 until Game Week 8, Leeds have the best fixtures in the Premier League from an attacking perspective if you use the Fantasy Football Hub fixture ticker. So I'm going to want a Leeds attacker from Game Week 5 anyway. Do I, rather than burning a free transfer this week, do I just make the move from Gross to Aronson, hope that Gross doesn't return, and then I've got what I would probably say is the more optimal player in my team, which is a Leeds attacker in that position. So that's something to think about. I've kept Gordon and Jensen on this list, but realistically for me, if I'm going to bring in a midfielder, I'm looking at those Leeds boys. And then I've got 4 strikers currently on the list. Tony and Mbermo stay. Yes, Brentford didn't look great, but they did still get 2 goals against Fulham, and I do think from an attacking perspective, they are still a decent outfit. Welbeck stays on the list. He was potentially the better move ahead of Pascal Gross. It was just difficult to restructure. It would have required at least 2 or 3 transfers. And then, like I said, I've put Stansfield on there. It's Jay Stansfield. He got 5 points in game week 3. That's about as much as I know about him, to be honest. I did watch the highlights on Match of the Day on Sky Sports on the YouTube channel, but I don't know a massive amount about Stansfield, to be honest. But it looks like he could potentially get a couple of starts. And even if he's not starting every game, the fact that he started a game at least would suggest that he'll get some minutes off the bench. So if I'm not happy taking Gross out and I'm not happy taking Trippier out, maybe rather than burn a transfer, I can just do Cameron Archer to Jay Stansfield, and that's potentially a way of upgrading my bench slightly. So that is the watch list. In the final section, we're going to take a look ahead to game week 4, game week 5, game week 6, etc., and look at how my team is starting to shape up before we do plan on playing that first wildcard. So guys, as we always do, we're going to be using the Fantasy Football Hub My Team feature in the final section of this video. If you'd like to support the channel beyond just watching, liking, subscribing, commenting, all of those things are free, you can join Fantasy Football Hub using my affiliate link in the description. It's currently 30% off at the moment, so I think you can get basically access to every feature on the site for as little as £2.10. So it's definitely worth doing, very cheap for basically, I would say guaranteed improvement in your game, because you're going to get access to Opta statistics, points projections, the My Team feature, different price change predictions too. So there's lots of stuff, and there's also content with videos and articles. So definitely worth looking at. Like I said, first link in the description. This is the My Team feature, which lets you look at your current game. It gives you a team rating, a game week rating, and also lets you look ahead to sort of game week 5, game week 6, game week 7, which allows you to plan when you might potentially be using your transfers. So my team is looking really good moving forward. It's shaping up very well. I did plan this, of course. Most people have probably got a team which is in a nice position, because we're picking players from teams like City, Chelsea, Arsenal, and it probably is a sign that realistically, FPL have probably messed up the pricing this year, because we've all got teams where we're like, well, I don't really need to change anyone, which is a bit of a shame, but I'm sure it will start to diverge soon. Like I said, 97% team rating, 94% game week rating, and it's actually my highest predicted points of the season at 74.2. But like I said, I do have 2 free transfers, and I have 0.4 in the bank. Realistically, the only thing I can see myself doing is probably Pascal Gross to Aronson or Harrison, or Archer to Stansfield. But Archer to Stansfield, that's not a particularly exciting transfer. So it would be the Gross one. If we just look here, so Pascal Gross is, if you just put if you just go on the eye, you can get their predicted points. So Pascal Gross's predicted points are very high. 4.6 for game week 4 is very good. If we just take a look at someone like Aronson, again, pretty good predicted points, but nowhere near as high as Gross. And I do wonder whether, yes, from game week 5, again, Aronson's got Everton, Brentford, Nottingham Forest, and then Man United in game week 8, which looks like it'll be a good fixture too. They're decent fixtures right up until that wild card. And I do wonder whether jumping on the Leeds attack with the way that they're looking, scoring 3 goals against Chelsea is not easy to do. And they did it relatively easily. I mean, they completely dominated that game. So I do wonder whether jumping on Aronson now might be worth it. But equally, for game week 4 in particular, I might actually prefer Pascal Gross. So let's leave it just for now, just to show you sort of what my team looks like in the future. But like I said, I'm not a massive fan of burning a transfer, because I feel like I should use it somewhere. So then move ahead to game week 5. Like I said, if you click the optimize button at the bottom left, if you're new to Fantasy Football Hub, there's an optimize button. It will sort out the captaincy for you, and it will sort out the bench in order, etc. And it will it'll basically pick the optimal team for you in that week. 93% in game week 5, projected to pretty much get 70 points too. The issue is I don't need a transfer here either, right? So I'm not just going to burn transfers every week, but at some point I need to just either be more aggressive with my transfers. Even if I don't need them, maybe I just make them. Or I just I'm okay with just not using a transfer. Maybe I just think, do you know what, this is a different season. In past seasons, it didn't make sense to not use a transfer. But maybe this season, it does. Maybe this is a different season because of the way they've done the pricing. Maybe we just accept that some weeks we won't use a transfer and we don't necessarily need to. But like I said, there's always something you can do. And I guess this week, maybe I could take out Trippier here, because I suppose the thing with Trippier is game week 4 against Wolves, yes, I do like the fixture, but then it's Liverpool. Palace look really good at the moment. I guess West Ham's not a bad fixture, but then it is Bournemouth at home. So I want to play Trippier in a lot of those fixtures, and I think defensively, Newcastle still look good. And for most of those fixtures, Palace are really good defensively. West Ham are decent defensively. Wolves are okay defensively, but from an attacking perspective, a lot of these teams aren't that great, and I think Trippier's definitely got some clean sheets in him for these fixtures. It's a really tricky one, guys. If you want to give me some advice on what you would do in my position, if there's something that you would personally do, let me know. I think what most people will probably say, and I understand it, is just get rid of Trippier and get Perisic. But like I said, I've just got my worries that Sessegnon's not going to just completely drop out of the starting 11. And I could quite easily see Sessignon starting 2 of the next 3 or 4 fixtures. And if that's the case, I don't think Perisic is a better option than Trippier. But if you believe that Perisic is going to start most fixtures, maybe start 3 of the next 4 and get 60 minutes in each of those, then Perisic definitely is. Perisic is incredible. He's playing on the last man pretty much the entirety of Game Week 3. He's getting into positions that are absolutely ridiculous for a defender in FPL. So it just comes down to how many minutes you expect Perisic to get. Like I said, though, Perisic looks like he's going to be going up in price. So my concern with Perisic would be that if I do want to make the Trippier to Perisic move, it would probably have to be 2 transfers and I would have to make a downgrade somewhere. So if I did that, maybe I could do sort of Perisic and then Aaronson in this spot, but that would require, again, Perisic only going up once and Aaronson not going up at all. And due to Aaronson getting another attacking return in Game Week 3, I think there's a decent chance that Aaronson goes up. So it might be one of those that's dictated by price changes because I don't plan on moving early this week. I moved early last week to get rid of Bailey because I was confident in doing that. But this week, I'm not as confident in my transfers. So I'm less confident in making that early move because I don't know exactly what I want to do yet. So maybe I'll just allow my team to be dictated, like I said, by the price changes. But please do let me know down below what you would do with my team. And like I said, if you do want to support the channel, use the Fantasy Football Hub affiliate link in the description. That will take you to there. And like I said, you can get, for a very, very cheap price each month, access to numerous tools that will help you improve in FPL. So guys, there you have it. That is my sort of early thoughts, transfer plans, reaction to Game Week 3, etc. If you're enjoying these videos on a Sunday evening / Monday morning and you want to see more of them, please do drop a like on the video. It's an extra piece of content each week, but assuming you guys do like them and maybe if we can hit 1,000 likes again, that would be absolutely awesome. I'll continue doing them because it suggests to me that you guys want to continue seeing them. And like I said, if you are new to the channel, you're not yet subscribed, please do consider doing so. We're almost at 25,000 subscribers, which would be an awesome milestone to hit this early in the season. Until next time, guys, thank you very, very much for watching. Cheers. Bye-bye.